Welcome to AARP Michigan's Black History Month presentation. Thank you for joining us. This is a wonderful opportunity to get information on the role that Black farmers are having in Michigan, Black farmers in America, bringing food to the table. Black people have been involved in farming in this country since they were enslaved and brought here to farm America, to farm the land and contribute to the economic growth of the country, while also making critical contributions to the advancement of agriculture inventions and tools and technologies along the way. During that period, we were not being compensated for our inventions and the roles that we played in building the economy. But over the past 400 years, Black farmers have continued to participate in this sector in America. There have been many challenges, many economic challenges, the loss of land, etc. But they continue to keep coming and keep moving forward. And today we are going to talk to three of Michigan's best farmers, African American farmers who are farming the land and bringing food to table, who are engaging their community in this process, sharing their information, sharing their skills, and building the network of future farmers in this country. They travel the globe. They serve our community, they involve the community, and you are going to hear a lot more about that today. How you can participate, how you can engage, learn who they are, where they are. A few housekeeping items. We are going to make this an engaging, participatory process. So that means you get to participate. We want to hear from you. What are your questions? Please put your questions in the chat. Join me as I welcome all of our guests today for a brief introduction. Please bring up our special guest today. Thank you very much. Hello, all. Glad you
Hello.
can join us today. I'm so
Hello
happy to
there.
have you.
Yes.
Joining us today is Shara Treyweiler, and she is from the Hope, Michigan area. For those of you who may be outside of Michigan, that would be on our western part of the state. We do have people from across the country who are joining us today. We have Bruce Michael.
I see Shara shaking her head. I don't think Holt is in the western part of the state.
You know?
No, it is. It's not. And I'm actually from. I'm actually in Dansville, Michigan. Um,
Okay.
I'm about 40 minutes south of Lansing,
Okay.
so kind
All
of in
right.
the
So
middle.
that's in the middle of the state.
Yes,
Is that
I'm
right?
sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Malik. I appreciate
I am
that.
sorry. I am sorry.
Oh
Um,
no, I didn't. I didn't mean to contradict you or anything, but
Oh, not a problem, not a problem. I kind of Googled some of that information and I got it wrong. Thank you, Malik. And joining us is Malik Yakani. I know where he's from. He's from my hood. He's from Detroit. And we have Bruce Michael. Uh, he is joining us from Zeeland, Michigan. Is that
yes,
correct?
That is
Got
correct.
that part right. Okay. So we are
Yeah.
covering the state here very well with Black farmers who are working to cultivate our land and cultivate our community. We're going to talk to each one of them. So again, put your questions in the chat, and we are going to start with Shara. Thank you, gentlemen. Shara, it's wonderful to have you here today. And I'm glad you said that. You're in the middle part of the state, so you're near our state capital in that area. We
yes, I
appreciate
am.
having you today. I have a
Okay.
picture of the screen up of you and a giant pig. Tell us about your farm.
Yeah, so yeah, that's actually my boar. My herd sire, he's about 1,200 pounds.
Hmm.
And his name is Big John. We call him Biggie for small, but Biggie Smalls. But um, so my name is Shara Treeweiler. I own and operate Agape Organic Farms. Um, we were we're actually in the process. Actually, have an inspection coming in the next 2 weeks. We were a certified organic farm,
Hmm.
moved farms, and so had to surrender our certificate, transition our farm back, and so we're working that back. We raise purebred Berkshire pigs. We grow over 28 varieties of mushrooms, and we also grow microgreens.
Okay. And how did you get into this business?
Well, it was a little bit of a roundabout way. So when I was younger, my granduncle was a renowned environmentalist and forester. His name was Gabriel Charles. And so I spent much of my childhood and youth trekking rainforests with biologists, geologists, and environmentalists. So I kind of had a little bit, it developed a really deep-seated love for nature and the environment for me. But my mother wanted me to go to business school, so I went, got my master's in finance, worked as a trader, and then after that, an investment banker for large corporate banks for Chase. Then after that, worked as a private wealth manager for Merrill Lynch, and then I was a regional manager for PNC Bank. And then I met a woman, a livestock farmer at the Ohio State Fair, and she introduced me to the organic movement, kind of changed the trajectory of my life. I was already very unhappy in the space that I was. From out
We've you're breaking up a little.
2017, I started. I'm sorry, country. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate having it to hear that, and we're going to go back to that because for some reason we kind of disconnected a little. So can we bring up? Okay, great. Now I can hear you. Great. Something happened. I know the Wi-Fi gets a little wobbly on my end sometimes.
Okay. So tell me so did you hear anything that I said? I can repeat what I was saying or.
Yeah, I heard you talk about your experience in the private sector and that you shifted and so that is just phenomenal. So if you want to pull back and put a little bit more in there after that.
Yeah, so I met this woman at the Ohio State Fair in 2013, and she introduced me to the organic movement. She was actually raising Berkshire pigs. And so I started getting involved in the organic movement, really started going to ag science classes, meeting with farmers, going on farm tours, and through OFA, the organic organization in Ohio, really did a lot of farm immersion to prepare, and I finally started farming in 2017.
Well, that's just phenomenal because you came to a new business. The good news is you had all the finance background behind you, which is often what a lot of entrepreneurs don't have. They don't understand how to put the financial picture together. So you came to the table with that. That's wonderful. And it also, I'm sure, is a benefit to you as you're building and growing your farm. So how do you get the information out about your farm, about your products? How do you get them to market? Is it online? I mean, the pandemic changed anything? Or do they go to market? How do you work that side of your business?
So, I think there were a lot of challenges, starting to really build my brand. And so I did it primarily using farmers markets, grassroots. I do Facebook and Instagram. So I use social media quite a bit. Networking. When early on, when I started, Cherry Capital Foods had actually contacted me because I had worked with a chef that had bought my meat and had told them about it, and so they had proactively contacted me. So on my old farm, where I was doing a lot more volume, I was selling my meat through Cherry Capital, as well as some of my mushrooms before they merged with Earthy Delights. Right now, I'm not doing a lot of wholesale, except I sell to some other mushroom farmers to kind of buffer their sales. I sell to chefs, and then I sell through Southeast Market. I'm hoping to do some infrastructure upgrades that will then increase the number the volume of mushrooms that I can do, so I can really go back and do a deep dive in the wholesale sector, as well as increasing the number of pigs that I have. I'm also working with OFA, hoping to start selling ready to fruit blocks. So for mushroom people that want to grow mushrooms but don't have the kind of extensive lab equipment or the background that would allow them to be able to do that, these would be fully lab inoculated and ready to go. They just need to be put out and grow. And so we're hoping to start, I would say in the next 3 months, start selling certified organic ready to fruit blocks for other organic farmers as well as other regular farmers that are looking to grow mushrooms, but do not have the technology or the equipment to do so.
Wow, that's innovative. That's very innovative and very creative. This sounds very exciting. And I love your website. It is just absolutely beautiful. The pictures of your mushrooms. And later, for our audience, you will have a link to her website. You will be able to get that. So get your pens and pencil out to be able to, or your notepads to take her website down. So I appreciate you for that introduction. And we are going to move on to Mr. Malik Yakani. And Brother Malik is going to come up and tell us something about D-Town Farms. It is so nice to have you here. I've been to the farm. I know how beautiful it is. Please tell us a little bit about the farm.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here, Brenda. Good to be here with these other farmers. D-Town Farm is a 7-acre farm inside the city of Detroit. In fact, we have a license agreement with the city of Detroit to operate in Rouge Park, which is the largest park in the city. So at D-Town Farm, we grow more than 40 different fruits, vegetables, and herbs that we sell both at the farm on Saturdays and Sundays between June and October, and also at farmers markets. So we just got word this morning, in fact, that the Wayne State University Farmers Market will open this year. It was closed last year and the year before because of the pandemic. And that's really the farmers market that we do the best at. So we're looking forward to being back at Wayne State University. And we also have wholesale customers in the city of Detroit, some small restaurants that buy from us. But our farm is also a training facility because in the city, most people are not really acclimated to farming. And so D-Town Farm is an opportunity for people to come and actually get their hands in the soil and to learn what's involved in growing foods organically. We are not certified organic like Shara is, but we do use organic methods. And so we are able to train people on how to do that in an urban setting. And we've helped to foster, quite a number of farmers in the city of Detroit who either have their own small farms now or gardens, and we're hoping to continue to be a catalyst for developing urban agriculture in Detroit.
Well, that's wonderful that you're going to be back on Wayne State's campus so that students and others in that Midtown area have access to the wonderful fresh food that you grow. Tell us something else about the farm. How do you produce? I know you got into some innovative power designs for the farm. You want to share a little bit about that?
So we have several things going on at D-Town Farm. What you're referring to is our solar energy station. So in 2015, we outfitted a shipping container, a 40-foot shipping container with 10 solar panels on top and lithium batteries on the inside. And so we're able to generate about 8 kilowatts of electricity that we're able to store in those batteries. And we use that right now primarily for power tools at the farm. But the next phase of that project is now to distribute the electricity from the power station to other parts of the farm. And that's about a $50,000 project where we have to do cabling and run overhead wires to distribute that electricity. But we also, as in the picture you're showing now, raise bees at the farm. And we raise bees for both honey production. And we have this wonderful D-Town honey that we sell every year. But we also raise them because bees are critical for pollination of a number of crops. Any crops that have flowers like beans and tomatoes and squashes and cucumbers all need pollinators to take the pollen from the male part of one plant and put it on the female part of another flower. And that's what makes the plants fertile and able to produce fruit. We also do large-scale composting, and the key really to growing food successfully, high nutrient food in an organic way is making sure that you have healthy soil. And so we put a lot of energy into that. And composting is the main way that we produce these supplements or additives that we add to the soil to make sure the soil remains uh, highly fertile. We also have a children's area at the farm, and we do public activities that are designed to bring community members to the farm and expose them to the possibilities of urban agriculture, as well as just getting them outside.
That's wonderful. And you do a festival sometimes
Yeah,
that brings everybody to the farm?
every September we do a harvest festival, and we've been doing that now for, I think, 15 years. And we usually have somewhere between 700 and 1,000 people that come out over the course of the weekend. And not only can they buy fresh produce from D-Town Farm and other farmers who are vending at the event, but we also have a number of what we call learn shops, 50-minute sessions where people can learn about some aspect of agriculture, perhaps how to plant on a balcony or how to dehydrate tomatoes or various other subjects that people might be interested in. We also have live music and live speakers and farm tours and all kind of activities for children. We haven't done that in the last 2 years. We've done it virtually for the last 2 years because of the pandemic. And in fact, all of the videos from the last 2 years are available on YouTube if people want to review what we've done. We're still assessing whether or not we'll do it in person this coming fall.
Okay. And do you share your knowledge around the globe of farming and what you're doing in Detroit?
Well, we're part of a movement of Black folks who are building food sovereignty, Black food sovereignty around this country and around the world. And so we're very much connected with, and we're founding members of the National Black Food and Justice Alliance, which has about 40 member organizations across the country who are either involved in farming, developing Black-led food co-ops, or involved in changing food policy. And so we all work together in this cohesive alliance so that we can kind of connect these dots of activity around the country. We're also very connected with the folks in Toronto who have a very vibrant Black food sovereignty movement. In fact, just this past weekend, they sponsored a webinar called a Youth Black Food Sovereignty Forum, where they're organizing Black youth in the US and Canada, the Caribbean, and Africa to kind of bolster their knowledge of the Black food sovereignty movement and to work together. So we're very much involved in spreading this knowledge and cooperating with other Black folks and other people generally throughout the world who are doing this work.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate you. I appreciate you, all of the work that you're doing in Detroit. And we're going to talk about some more of your work when you come back for the panel discussion. Thank you very much, Brother Malik. And we are going to have Brother Bruce Michael joining us, owner and operator of Groundswell's Farm. So glad to have you. I love the hat. I do love that hat. I've seen some of your pictures on your post. And I enjoy looking at the farm and you doing your thing. We really appreciate having you join us today. Tell us a little bit about you and your farm and the history of your farm.
Well, I first want to say, it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank the other farmers that are here as well for doing what they do. It's special and it's very much needed. So, blessings to you guys as you go forward. Groundswell Community Farm is this farm originated in 2006, so we've been around for a while. It's been certified organic through the USDA since 2013, and so we have a lot of years under our belt as a certified organic farm. And I see that somebody raised the question, what is a certified organic farm? And that's basically it's a stamp of approval from the USDA or whatever other umbrella that you're under to basically certify your farm in a way where you're not using pesticides. It's pesticide free, chemical free, and basically everything is done all natural, much like the two farmers that came before me. So So these are the practices that we have practiced for years. It's a 7-acre farm and located in western Michigan, near Lake Michigan, about 15, 20 minutes from Lake Michigan and Zeeland. It's, the farm is is situated in a very rural community outside of Grand Rapids, or is probably 3 minutes away. Holland, Michigan is not too far away, another 15, 20 minutes away. So we're very rural in that sense, and the way I got started in farming is, I grew up as a farmer. I grew up on a 160-acre farm in western Michigan, a place called Hopkins, and that's where I kind of learned the ropes from my father and my mother, who were originally from Mississippi, and they came from a long lineage of farmers, entrepreneurs, people that were do-it-yourselfers. So that's the mentality that I kind of grew up with, and which is not something that I've done full time, over my career, but it's something that's always been in my blood. And so, I stayed connected to it, even though I'm involved in and have delved into many different genres as far as entrepreneurship, from finance and real estate investments, and I pretty much run the gamut when it comes to all things entrepreneurial. So farming is a love of mine, because I have a love for the nature and a love for the outdoors, a love for growing things that I suppose a lot of other people can't grow or don't grow. We grow 200 different varieties of 60 to 80 different vegetables on my farm, and so it's a major operation when it comes to the varieties that you're delivering to the community. And in that community, we deliver to the farmers markets is a big source of where we send our product to. And over the last couple of years, we've kind of pulled back from that due to the pandemic and whatnot. But we also have a CSA program that we have a membership-based program where we provide vegetables to our CSA, and we also deliver to or have delivered to certain restaurants and certain grocery stores like Harvest Health and now Southeast Market, as well as UMCH, which is United Methodist Community House. That's a store in downtown Grand Rapids that purchases some of our vegetables as well.
Okay.
So in a nutshell,
can people come to the farm and buy it directly?
That's an interesting question and a good question. We don't have it set up that way. Although in the past, there have been times where people have said, "Hey, can I come by and purchase this, that, or the other?" And if we have it based on a share that we've made that day, we'll offer it to them. But the farm is going through a transitional stages right now where I'm going to implement something more to that effect. It's gonna, we're going to break it down into maybe an area on the farm where there's up to 65 to 85 different areas where I'm going to invite shares or members to basically come and grow on their own. It's going to be more of a training ground, an educational ground where they can do that. And so I'm really, and this has been in my mind for 2 or 3 years, about running some type of a fundraising campaign where Groundswell can be kind of a pivot point to help Black farmers across the nation, not just here in the region, but across the nation. And we need some kind of a grassroots effort to where we can raise the millions of dollars that's needed to help Black farmers get back on their feet, to help them get back into the game, to help them be successful. Because it's one thing to be a farmer and call yourself a farmer, but if you can't make a profit and you're not making money doing it, eventually you're going to phase out. And that's been the problem over the last century here, in the decline of Black farmers, where there was over 1 million of us back at the turn of the century, the early 1900s, and now we're down to between 36,000 and 50,000 across the nation. So you can see that there's been a serious, devastating impact on Black farmers as far as being able to produce and make a living at this thing we call farming.
Yes. Okay. Well, listen, all of this sounds wonderful. You are getting food to the table on a number of different levels. And your community, I'm sure, really appreciates that. And you are engaging young people in the work?
Absolutely. I have a nonprofit that I started a year and a half ago called Dunyon that kind of piggybacks off the farm. And last season we brought in children on a weekly basis, a couple times a week, and kind of invited them in, showed them, what organic farming was all about. We kind of had a Black history lesson every time they showed up. We introduced to them a tool or even a vegetable that may have was brought over here from the west coast of Africa, and some of the things that we eat today are part and parcel from that area and were brought over by the slaves. And so we teach some of those things, and we teach about some of the equipment that was invented by Black farmers, and we kind of show them, how the equipment works, and we go through some seeding activities in the greenhouse and things of that nature, go on hay rides and things of that nature. So, it was quite an experience for the first time, and, we're going to improve on it and try to improve on it more and more.
Sounds great. We're going to learn more from you in our panel discussion. So I would like to thank you for giving us this brief introduction, and we're going to bring the panel back up, and we are going to answer some of the questions that we've gotten from the audience, and we're going to answer a few other questions. We've gotten quite a few questions. I've really enjoyed the chat. And Bruce Michaels, what part of Mississippi?
Oh, I'm not from Mississippi, but my folks are. So my mom was from Utica, Mississippi, and my dad is from up around Pontotoc, Natchez, Pontotoc area. That's where it is, I think. Yeah, Hulka and Pontotoc area.
Okay. I asked that question because my family is from Meridian, Mississippi, and my exposure to farming as a kid was going to visit relatives, and my uncle only letting me look at the mule. He wouldn't even let me touch the mule. The mule was not to be played with, but we could go down in the pasture and look at the mule. Our job was to shell the peas and all of the vegetables that came out of the land. I would do that with my great-great-grandmother and others. And I know that is what instilled the desire for me to have a garden. I've had a garden in every place I've lived since my very first apartment. And so have my other aunts that lived here in Detroit, and my mother. So I know it came from that because we had that experience. And I am just so glad to see the work that you all are doing and the information that you're sharing and how it is helping us to be able to get food to the table in Michigan, across America, and it helps us to eat healthier. And that is just very encouraging. So I'd like to know a little bit more about this CSA, I think you mentioned earlier, this shared work that some of you do. And I know Brother Malik has a co-op. So please tell our audience about a little bit about that, because the history of food co-ops is not new to us. But it is refreshed in some of our communities.
Are you, Shara? I think you're on mute, Shara.
We can't. You're on mute.
Oh, I was saying, I think we all do CSA, so I wasn't sure who you were asking to speak about it. So I that's why I didn't want to say something and then so should I? So I mean, I guess with the CSA, interestingly, the CSA model actually came from a Black man that most farmers use right now. But so I do have a CSA. It's basically a farm subscription where I do a weekly share. People that pay in advance per quarter, and then every week they get a pound of pork, 4 quarts of mushrooms, and two clamshells of microgreens, and that's my CSA. Currently, we have about 30 members, but hoping to grow that.
And so, how do you do that? Do you mail it out? They pick it up? How does that work?
We have we have an option for farm pickup or delivery, doorstep delivery. So some people pay for us to deliver it directly to their house.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
We do not operate a CSA, but as you mentioned, we're starting a co-op. So we've been working for several years on developing Detroit People's Food Co-op. We're actually building a new building on Detroit's main street, and construction is going to start in April, and it will be finished in June of 2023. And so we'll be opening a new community-owned grocery store where both D-Town Farm and several other local farmers will be able to sell their produce on a scale that has not been available in Detroit prior to this. And the co-op grocery store is owned by members. That's the important thing, because many times in our communities, there's other groups, other ethnic groups that come in and own all the grocery stores and extract the wealth from our communities. So we're very concerned about not just access to healthy food, but about the profits that are made from food and how we circulate those profits within our communities.
Okay. So you will become an employer in the community and getting food to the table through your food co-op.
We're already an employer. We'll employ more people.
You employ more people. Okay. And and for our audience, it's going to be near my house, and I appreciate that. And I think I am a member of the co-op. So
and I see a question, what does CSA stand for? And it stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And I'm very glad that Shara pointed out that it was started by a Black man. And so many times Black folks don't get credit for the real role that we played in agriculture in America. So thank you, Shara, for pointing that out.
Thank you. Thank you. All of you have public spaces. Do you invite the public in? I know Malik has shared with us that he has a festival. Shara and Bruce, do you do anything else that is an event on the farm in the season where the public comes in?
Well, we hope to begin doing, Groundswell, we hope to begin doing a few events this coming season. Like I said, we're looking to change our model. And so with that, we hope to have some African dance events where people can come in, and it'll probably happen once a month, an event throughout the summer. And maybe some music events. We may have an event related to actually farming where people can engage in helping us harvest the garlic event, and maybe paint the tractor event. So a lot of these things are going to be things where people want to be outside and outdoors and around food and around nature, and especially inviting kids, to take part in it.
Okay. So who helps with the farm? I saw pictures of teams of people working, but do you hire, as Malik has informed us, he is an employer in the community. Do you hire staff? Do you get summer interns? Where does the interest come from young people? Are college students seeking to become interns on the farm?
That's a great question. I've had over the years, we've had a interesting process as far as hiring and being able to maintain employment there at the farm. We are, like I said, in a very rural community. So for people to come out to the farm and be able to work on the farm, you have to be able to provide a fair enough wage or a decent enough wage for them to be able to drive 30 minutes to do that. And so a lot of the college kids in the area, they will time a lot of in most instances, but we've had some trouble keeping good employees, over the 2 or 3 years, and especially with the pandemic, that's kind of disrupted that a little bit as well.
Okay.
So I did want to talk a little bit about one of the things, the initiatives we're trying to do on the farm. So as everybody has stated, there are just so few farms, black farms in the state of Michigan. And so one of the things that I want to try to do is my neighbor, ironically, is a seed geneticist, and he was very involved in Project Red. And they were having a lot of problems because Project Red, basically an older white farmer brings Black kids out to their farm to show them what farming is. And I think there's a lot of flaws with that. And so one of the things that I want to try to do is partner with the Fledge, as well as probably D-Town Southeast Market for their Freedom School, to bring kids from the inner city for immersion experiences on a farm in a rural setting, so that they can, to increase the perception of agriculture or farming as an option for them. And another thing that I found is that the FSA funds that are targeted for BIPOC farmers or Black farmers, the requirements are so stringent that it excludes more than 99% of Black farmers from accessing those funds, because they want you to have 3 years of leadership or decision making, 3 years of a decision making or leadership role on a farm, or 3 years of farm ownership, or come from a legacy farm family. Given the limited access that Black farmers have to the farms, that criteria excludes more than 99% of them. And it kind of perpetuates the cycle of excluding us from the farming community. And so what I want to do is partner, create a leadership internship that matches interested BIPOC, specifically Black farmers, that with mentors that will give them a leadership and decision-making role on a working farm. And then after the 3 years, they can meet that criteria and then access those funds to be able to start farms of their own. So what I want to try to do is break the wheel and kind of break the barriers, help with breaking down the barriers that are keeping us from accessing the funds and being able to access the system. So in other words, I'm trying to find ways that we can disrupt the system. And I'm so glad there are so many giants that are going before me doing amazing things. I met Malik, and the first time I met him, I spoke with him on the phone. I was so impressed. I was like, oh my goodness, this guy is doing so much already. But it inspired me, in a sense, I left the conversation thinking, oh my goodness, I have so far to go. But it inspired me to want to be part of that and to be part of that movement and to see what I can do. And I'm so excited to meet Bruce as well, because I've heard so many things about him. And for the longest while, I've wanted to meet him. So I'm really excited that I got to do that today.
That is wonderful. And I love
Glad to hear. Thank you.
I love to hear you talking about disrupting the process. And with your finance background and the expertise from the two other brothers here, I'm sure you are going to get a wealth of support in moving in that direction and in moving that needle on social change when it comes to who has access to resources and the inequities that you see in the sector. Malik, somebody wanted to see your T-shirt. I saw you show it off a little bit. What does it say?
Yeah.
It says, I am because we are.
Okay.
Oh, it's a South African thing. Yeah.
Yes.
From Zimbabwe.
Oh, somebody asked, how many Black farmers are there or farms are there in Michigan? Do either of you have an answer to that?
I hear all kinds of different numbers. I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's, from my last research, I think there's approximately 12 to 20. And our whole world that we're in right now is, I think, myself, be only to USDA certified organic Black farmers in the state of Michigan.
Okay. Okay. And somebody wants to know about chickens, and I saw that in the feed. And I think I saw a response from Malik. Malik, you want to address that?
Yeah, I'll just say in Detroit, we do urban agriculture, and big up and respect to the rural farmers who are on the call. And we don't in any way think that urban agriculture is going to replace rural agriculture, but it can supplement and function in a complementary fashion. And so currently chickens are illegal in the city of Detroit. There's lots of people who have chickens, but they're doing it kind of under the radar. And I think the city's policy is that they just turn a blind eye to it unless the neighbor calls and complains. And so because our farm is on land owned by the city and we have a license agreement, we have to be very careful of making sure that we're following the law. So we do not have chickens.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of folks in Detroit raising chickens and eggs.
Yeah, as a Detroit resident, and I live in a community where a lot of people raise chickens. We see chickens and ducks walking down the street. I actually had a neighbor, my immediate neighbor, who his first venue were ducks because he had a new grandchild and he wanted his grandchild to have these cute little chicks, and those chicks grew to be as big as tabletops. And then he had chickens, and the chickens actually acted like a burglar alarm. If anybody came up the driveway, they made noise. And then he had pigs. He actually got 2 little piglets. They were so cute when they first came. Yes, but by the time they left, they were stinking up the place, simply because he did not maintain them.
2 weeks ago on the news, they showed a farmer riding a cow down East 7 Mile in the city of Detroit.
Oh, so my goodness.
There's all kind of animals in Detroit, even though they're so-called illegal, many people are just doing what they have to do.
Yeah, people are doing their things in the city here. Other questions that we have from our audience are about eggs. So if we're not growing chickens in the city, we're not really doing eggs. But how about you two? Any egg farmers? Do you do any of that?
I have chickens, but I only have them for so in my organic systems management, I have poultry for parasites and fly reduction. And so I have the chickens, and they're really only for my family to eat. So I don't sell the eggs. I only have enough to be able to have them, because in my organic systems plan, I have to have something for pest and fly and parasite reduction. Because I'm a livestock farm, it's part of something you have to have in your systems plan. So.
A member from the audience says, do you work with colleges and universities like Michigan State University to build knowledge training for new farmers? Are you in partnership with them at all?
I've done some stuff with MSU. I just taught a mushroom cultivation class. I have a lot of, I was on a panel for livestock production for their organic farming course that they have. And then I do have a lot of people from Extension come out to the farm on a regular basis. So I try to, because I learn a lot from them. I also do a lot of ag science classes through them and consult them. I've built pretty strong relationships with them for that reason.
Great.
I want to add, if I can, Brenda, that we also have a relationship with Michigan State. But as a whole, Michigan State's agriculture department is very much wedded to conventional industrial agriculture. They do have, as Shara mentioned, the student organic farm, which is kind of an outlier of Michigan State, where they're promoting organic agriculture. But most of the agriculture in Michigan State is financed by Monsanto and other companies that are wedded to the use of chemicals and are producing the kind of farm system that really we're fighting against. All of us on this call are dedicated to organic, sustainable, and regenerative farming. That's not really, for the most part, what's happening in Michigan State. We also have a relationship with the University of Michigan student farm, and also with the SEAS program, Sustainable Environment Agricultural Systems program at University of Michigan. So all agriculture is not the same, is the point I'm making. And the industrial corporate sector really controls a lot of the funding that goes to many universities that purport to teach agriculture. And so there's a difference in worldview, and really there's a battle going on right now in the food system to see which of these types of farming dominates.
Okay, good insight. Good insight for our audience. Someone wants to know how Shara became interested in pigs.
Well, I became interested because my introduction to the organic movement was through pigs. The woman I met was raising Berkshires. I am also really interested in livestock, not in other types of livestock. I do have goats, but again, the goats are part of my organic systems plan for weed management. So I have animals that I keep in my rotational grazing system, but they're basically tools in my organic systems plan. I hope to eventually bring in Japanese black
Wagyu cattle. I'm sorry, I'm done. I don't know if you guys can hear that noise.
No, we can't. We're
Sorry.
good.
Okay, good. Okay. So I do want to eventually bring in Japanese black Wagyu cattle. And so to have Kobe beef as well as the pigs, because pigs and cows work really well in a livestock rotational grazing system. And so hoping to eventually do that. But I really like pigs. They're interesting. They're really great to manage. I try to make sure my animals only have one bad day, the day they go to slaughter. So we, interact with them. And a big part of organic agriculture, like Malik said, is getting to know the animals and really kind of understanding their behaviors so that you can get ahead of stuff. Because if you're basically relying on seeing them sick, you're going to have to pull them out of organic production because you're going to have to give them antibiotics or something like that. But if you really get to know your animals and know their behaviors and know how to do the different welfare checks, it becomes easier. I really enjoy organic farming, and I really want to kind of bring that love to other kids, get them to fall in love with life too.
One final comment on your pigs. Somebody wants to know, how many do you have?
So right now I only have about 48 of them.
Wow, that sounds like a lot to me.
But we're expecting to grow that number by the end of the year.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Brother Malik, someone wants to know about the D-Town grocery store. Will there be meats and staples or just fruits and vegetables?
Thank you. So actually it's called the Detroit People's Food Co-op. And we have a website that people can check out, www.detroitpeoplesfoodcoop.com. But we'll be a full service grocery store. Although I personally am vegan, I am certainly not trying to impose my dietary regimen on other people. And so I think it's true that most of our people and most people in the United States eat meat. And so it would be ridiculous for us not to sell meat at the market. So yes, we absolutely will be selling meats, other staples, and even beer and wine. Not that we're trying to promote alcohol consumption, but most people consume it. And it's our philosophy that if we're going to consume it, that our community should see some economic benefit from the buying and selling of it. So the Detroit People's Food Co-op will be a full line grocery store.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can't wait. This question, can someone comment on debt relief for Black farmers that has been stalled? And what do you think will happen to help it move forward or to gain some momentum in the future? I'm sure you have an opinion about that. Somebody does.
Well, I did an interview last year with regard to the American Rescue Plan. And in that interview, I stated that I felt like something was going to be, turned on its face or stalled out due to some of implementation from out and specific. So sure enough, when it came out, immediately, there's 8 or 10 white farmers that jumped on the bandwagon and filed a lawsuit to kind of stop it in its place. And so, with that said, I mean, that's just another another setback for Black farmers, because if it's tied up in some ramifications, then this could take years to kind of find its way through the system. And then by that time, a lot of the Black farmers should have had that reward. The monies will to receive.
Thank you. I don't know, you stalled for a minute, but I see you moving now. I appreciate your response. So the challenges continue. The challenges that you all have to, manage your businesses, manage public policy, and advocate for yourselves and for the growth of the sector. Is there a network that you all belong to that does the piece for you, that pulls together education advocacy as it relates to your sector?
I'll jump in and say that we're members of the National Black Food and Justice Alliance. I would urge people to check out our website, which is www.blackfoodjustice.org. And so we currently have about, as I mentioned earlier, 40 organizations around the country, many of whom are farmers, but some are working on food policy, and some are working on creating farmers markets and food co-ops and other types of retail outlets. So we are absolutely banding together to create what we call Black food sovereignty, to really try to create an alternative food system for Black people in this country, so we are not so dependent upon other people for something as basic as food.
Thank you. Anyone else? You're on mute, Shara.
I was saying that I'm not part of anything, but I think it's very necessary because, and I told Malik a little bit about it, but being in this area in Dansville, I would say that most of my neighbors are very, very nice and very helpful and welcoming. But I have gone through ongoing harassment for the last year and a half to 2 years that I've been here. Like, I mean, it's a constant issue. And so basically we have to fight to have that place. I mean, I have MSU Extension people out here all the time. They're always praising my operation. My certifier has been out here. Actually, the director of MDARD rural for agriculture was out at my farm, but yet still animal control has been called out to my place 30 times. The police have been called out to my place because my farmhands were parked on the side of the road. So there's just a tremendous amount of scrutiny that Black farmers are subject to that other farmers will not get. And I think that for us to fight for our place, especially I think in rural settings, we do need to have some kind of advocacy group that is able to combat that for us, because other than that, it's already so stressful farming and trying to manage a business, and then having to deal with that as well is just it's a tremendous source of stress.
We have a question from Anne. She says, what can those of us who are white do to help Black farmers?
I'll jump in since nobody's contributing yet and say that one of the most basic levels would be to contribute financially. And so I know all Black farms are always in need of additional resources. And so that's one important way to contribute. But also in recent years, there's been a trend of white landowners contributing, giving land for the use of Black farming. For example, in upstate New York, Soul Fire Farm has been involved in an effort to kind of redistribute land. And so there's some well-intentioned whites who are landowners who have contributed that land for Black farms. But also, white people can purchase from Black farms. I think our philosophy is that we sell to anyone. And so part of what communities have to do to become economically vibrant is to get money from outside of their community. In the same way that all nations do that. Nations have a domestic economic policy, but they also have a foreign economic policy where they're trying to get money from other countries into their country. So the same thing with Black farmers. While our goal is to sell primarily to Black people, we welcome anyone as customers because it helps to bolster our cash flow.
Thank you. Thank you for the response, Malik. I appreciate the question, Anne. We are getting near the end of our program. It has been dynamic. I've learned a lot. I hope our Facebook Live and our YouTube audience also learns a lot. And this one comment here, this final comment we're going to take is from Janice Ford. I think the CSA founder might have been Booker T. Watley, a pioneer of sustainable. Okay, she is absolutely right. Okay, thank you for that that point of information. We appreciate you. This is what we mean by having an engaging audience. So we had an audience member Google the name or she knew the name and posted up for the rest of our audience to see. This is what we like to try to do, is have some participatory process so that we learn something, we gain some information, and it's information that we can take forth and bear some fruit with. So right now we are going to do closing comments. People, get your pencils and your pens out because you will be able to get the contact information for each one of these farms. So closing comments first. Shara, give us a closing comment. And your information is up on the screen for anybody who wants a link and a phone number for the Agape Farm. You're on, Shara.
Definitely support us. We look forward to, gaining some new customers. And of course, if you have access to any resources or know of any grants that would be applicable for us, if you can send them our way. But I really want to see how I can partner with Malik and Bruce better for us to be able to try to improve the state of Black farms in Michigan. I think that that's going to be critical. And so hopefully I can get to know these two giants a little bit better so we can work together to try to break the system.
Thank you. Brother Malik, your closing comments.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be on this panel with Sister Shara and Brother Bruce. First time I'm meeting Brother Bruce. I'm very glad to hear about his farm, Groundswell Farm, and I look forward to visiting and finding out how we cooperate. If people want to support the Detroit Black Community Food Security Network or our farm, D-Town Farm, they can contact us at the numbers that you see on the screen. But I would end by saying that really everyone needs to have a commitment to good, fair, just food, regardless of their so-called race, because there's not a food system for Black people and a food system for Latinos and a food system for white people. There's kind of one food system that provides most of the food for all people in society. And so we want to make sure that that food system is fair and just, and that everyone has access to high quality food, regardless of their race and income. So that takes a commitment, and it requires people to see eating as a political act, that every time that you buy food or you consume food, you're really either supporting the existing system, which has lots of inequity and inequality built into it, or you're helping us to build this new alternative food system that is based on fairness, justice, and stewardship of the land.
Thank you, Brother Malik. Brother Bruce Michael, your closing comments.
Yes, I'd just like to say, salute Black History Month, and really just it's been nice to be a part of this panel with AARP, and for AARP to put something on like this is a very important message today. And it's very nice to meet Shara and Malik for the first time. I look forward to having some further discussion with the both of you and how we can grow this community that we're trying to grow, together. So, as far as Groundswell is concerned, please keep an eye on and what we're going to be promoting going forward. Like I said before, this is a massive operation that we want to campaign for, as far as fundraising for Black farmers. And that, one of the ladies earlier said, what can we do to help? Like Malik said, financial support is a way to go about doing that. And you know, we can spearhead this, you know, with monies by helping, you know, the most important thing you need, you know, to be a farmer is you need access to land, you know, and
Okay.
a lot of Black farmers or Black people who are interested in farming cannot get that. And so that's
Okay.
very important right there to be able to access land. And the only way you can do that is through wealth.
Well, thank you. I want to thank all of our guests today. AARP values your contribution to our Black History Month program. We value our multicultural communities across the country. We thank you for having you. Anybody can see this again. It is posted on our AARP Michigan Facebook page and will continue to run. Thank you, guests. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.